New Warriors, come out to play. Is that the first time we've just done that?
Just
like
pro,
right away?
professional.
You were ready? I was ready?
Professional.
The two of us were ready? I'm proud of us. I'm proud of you, Jarrod.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, you know what? Then since we're already doing good, I'm keeping it going. Welcome to Come Out to Play, a New Warriors podcast. I'm Delvin, aka The Dark Web. If you're watching this show via YouTube, we would love for you to hit the like and subscribe button. I read it. I feel very good.
Do it.
Yeah.
Just like it.
Like
it.
Like it.
And subscribe to it.
And subscribe to it. Like, we need more likers and subscribers. And I'm Delvin. That's Jarrod, like I may have mentioned. Nova to my Night Thrasher, stuff like that. Both of those characters appear in the book tonight. And Jarrod has a question to ask me, I'm pretty sure.
I do. Now, I was under the impression, and I could be wrong. Hello to Eric and hello to Jason in the chat already. Before I get into this, by the way, I got a message from one Kathy Bright who was like, I'm not going to make it to the live tonight because I'm going to play music bingo.
What?
Hope it was worth it, Kathy. I called her out, though. I was like, it's because you didn't read the comic. She's like, yeah, for the 44th time in a row. Anyways.
You need to share some of your comics with her.
She's got a huge collection of Blade the Immortal, but yeah, she needs some New Warriors books. I think she won some in one of our raffles, if not mistaken. Anyways.
Yeah.
Now the chat is turning against Kathy. Anyways, just, you know what? That just means you missed. Anyways, the question for this episode, I was under the impression, and I could be wrong, because I don't have the largest of the iPads, and I read this on Marvel Unlimited on my smaller iPad, and I was like, my eyes are getting old, but I thought this was a photo cover. A photo cover, like it was a touched up photograph type of a deal. Could be wrong. You said you might have some insight on that for me.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, memorable photograph cover that comes to mind for you?
I mean, let's just assume that Alex Ross did something. I'm trying to think.
That's painting.
Yeah, it is. It's not. Yeah. That's not a photo.
Which is close. You know, I'll take it if that's what you've got. I'm talking photograph.
I can't think of any photograph covers. I told you before. Like, don't ask me that. Like, don't.
I immediately thought of one. I'm interested to see what the chat says, which I think the chat right now is Jason Lady. He said Marvel team up with Spidey and Cap on it. Okay, I may have to look that one up. But I brought one. The one that I first thought of and always comes to mind is this one from Amazing Spider-Man 262. I think that's is that the dude that was in the TV show?
I don't know. I don't even remember that cover.
I just always remember that photo cover from 262. And I can't remember if that's actually the dude from the TV show, if that's a different model. I'm quite certain the chat can square me away on that.
I am immediately going to go after the show and check out 262 to see if, like, I mean, I have the book, right? But I don't remember. I don't remember, Jarrod.
I'm going to see if I can find this Marvel. I've got Jason Lady's Marvel team up cover, and I will share it with you all visually. Marvel team up and overlay. This is good for the audio version of the podcast. I'm glad you guys can hear me go step by step.
That's a pretty good cover artist or actor for the photo.
Yeah, I love how, like, he's getting caught. Someone's taking a picture of him with his mask off. It's kind of neat. Here's the one Jason Lady talked about.
Okay. The that looks like the Cap from, like, maybe the movie.
Yeah, it could be the early ones. Reb Brown, I think, played him.
The only thing that I don't like about that is that Spider-Man canonically isn't that much shorter than Cap. I think Cap is like a little bit over 6 feet tall, and Spider-Man is canonically 5'10".
Well, he's in a crouch. So we'll give it to him.
Yeah. For some reason, I'm looking out for, my shorter kings here. Like, we are both men over 6 feet tall, Jarrod. So we don't have to worry about the short struggle. like some of our under 6 feet tall, even though like the average height of a male is 5'9", I believe. So, somewhere along the way, America, we as a society got very heightist, which, it does not affect me or you, but nonetheless. Good. We've seen some painted covers. Do you want to ask your question about the Batman painted cover to see?
Oh, yeah. I was speaking of photo covers. I was gonna ask the chat. I was trying another one I wanted to bring to the show, but I couldn't find it because I remember what number it was. It's either a Batman or a Detective or a Shadow of the Bat. It's a series of 2 covers, and it's actually photographs of a model, and it's a model of a cathedral, and I think Batman is made out of clay on his cover, and then on the next cover it's Man-Bat, or perhaps vice versa. And those were always interesting to me. They're just very oddball. If anybody in the chat can remember what the heck I'm talking about from those 2 covers from Batman or Detective, let us know. Or if we get past the chat, you're listening to this in podcast form, go to @LongBoxCrusade on any social media and relieve my pain.
Yes, please relieve Jared's pain. I mean, do you see how much in agony is? Could I get an agony face, please, Jared? See that? That's his agony face, and or on the toilet face. I'm not sure.
There's a little bit of Prince face involved.
Oh, okay. Like while we're doing faces and stuff, I'll keep moving us along. Why not? Come out to play as the chronicling of the 1990 series, The New Warriors. The first volume of New Warriors ran 75 issues. We will cover all this first volume, and I will rediscover my love for this series, help others find theirs, and share our love and joy with the listening audience. Grab your skateboards and bucket helmet, y'all. It's time to play. We are going to be covering today New Warriors issue 44, and cover credits go to Paul Measy, who is the photographer of this photo, Martreze Beck, who was the model, and Kate Wadsworth with makeup. There are a couple of other credits, and you know what? I mean, we got time, and we're talking about Warriors, so I'll just break out the book here since I got it. And there's a couple other ones, credits. You may as well give people credit for. Katie Yu got credit for print. Gabrielle Russo Magno got credit for retouching. And it says, thanks also to Kevin Tang for his use of his computer, Chris Ebel of the manufacturing department, and to Mark Grunwald just for being himself. So yeah, they went through a little bit in the book of like a couple of the shots that went into it. And then it's clearly something they were proud of, and they should be, because as we just talked about, painted or photograph covers are a rarity in Marvel Comics and maybe comics overall. They also just gave a full feature page of the cover artist, Mrs. Beck, as Chimera. So there you go. If anyone doesn't have the original copy of the comic book and you're checking this out on YouTube, you get to, I hope you at least got to see that and got to know a little bit about it. But in any event, Jared, what do you think about the cover?
Well, first of all, shout out to Kevin Tang for making the delicious drink that we all had throughout the 80s. It was good, and appreciate not only his computer, but his delicious orange flavored drink that the astronauts drink.
Yeah,
I said we drank it in the 80s. I think it was invented in the 60s, to be honest with you. But
yeah, it was a space drink, I think, right?
Yeah. Tang jokes aside, what do I think of this cover? Man, it was definitely a shocker when I pulled it up, and I was like, I suspect this is a photo cover. And I was like, well, they did a really good job with the lighting and using the heavy blacks, and I think they got the best out of it. And it was interesting to listen to you talk about, the computer touch-ups and all that stuff, which is like nothing today, but back in 1990, what, 1 or 2?
I think 3. Yep. So, yeah.
What the what?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So overall, yeah, it was, it's different enough to be like, would I rather have an amazing drawing by a Derek? It's Derek, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Derek or Bagley, or, yes, I would. But as far as photo covers go, we've looked at a couple of today. We've looked at 3 now, and this is the best of the 3 we've looked at. So yeah, they really captured really good dark. I was gonna say lighting, but it more like darkness really helps this cover.
Yeah, like if they would have went with Derek, who did a drawing like when they finally did the big reveal in the book, and I'm sure you probably have that as one of the
Odds are good
images. Like that would have been spectacular because I think Derek did an amazing job. Derek and company did an amazing job when they finally did the Chimera reveal in the book. But this cover is lovely. Like, I mean, first of all, like the thing that's probably the coolest overall is like, they wanted to sell New Warriors as being cutting edge, and they wanted to sell, New Warriors being out on the forefront. And so for $1.25 for a cover, you got like photograph art and somebody that went through the quote unquote trouble. Models have to do all sorts of crazy things and put themselves in all sorts of crazy situations. But I've heard any number of times, like any actors in the movie, like my first thought was Dave Bautista as Drax, the Destroyer in the Guardians. Like, I mean, it's hours and hours of you're just sitting there and they're having to put on makeup, and you woke up at like 4:30 in the morning and someone's putting all of this makeup to make sure it's perfectly applied and stuff. And I'm sure that Miss Beck had to do the exact same thing when it came to it. And like, you even tell they did the touch with her ears to make them pointy and everything. And like this photograph makes Chimera come across looking as exotic and a little bit mysterious and, a little bit sexy too as well. So I think it was very well done. And you brought in the artistry of, the use of the blacks, and where like, all behind her, it's black to accentuate that, the thing that is most striking about this character is her blue hue. So like, I'm very impressed with it. A hello to Botboy Versus as well, who spoke up in the chat. Glad to have you, my friend. And unless you had something else to add, Jarrod, we can rate the book. Here on Come Out to Play, we rate things on a scale of 1 to 10. Just 1 to 10. I could throw out the truncheons at this point. For whatever reason, you're on mute, Jarrod.
1 to 10. Let's just change it every time. 1 to 10 dorsal fins.
1 to 10 dorsal fins to describe what we think about the book. And I'll even, since this is such a unique cover, I'll go first. Man, like, how do you rate a photograph? I don't know. Like, I could tell you that I could have about 100 tries and I would never take something as magnificent as this. So like that alone and the uniqueness of it, I'll give it a 9. I think that it was well done. I fully appreciate the effort that they took to do this. And it's very cool that like even they used like the New Warriors logo looks awesome. And the black and white lettering of the overall looks absolutely fantastic. So it's a great cover to me. What do you think, Jarrod?
Yeah, this is a tough one because I want to give a 9 for an artist and an inker and a colorist, and this is just a good photograph. It was driving me nuts of what it was reminding me of for a while, but it finally clicked. Vampirella's done some photo covers, and that's what it reminds me of. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's so weird. It is really well done with design, like you said, the black and white lettering, the turquoise border. They're still doing the trading card style border.
Yep.
And it all works really well. I feel like the maximum I could go on a photo cover though would probably be about an 8. And you called it. Yep. And I will give it an 8 because I don't want your photograph. I don't need your photograph. I'm just quoting Def Leppard lyrics at this point. I didn't mean any of that. But yeah, it is as good as it can be. So I'm going to give it a solid 8. But I could definitely understand where this is going to have a wide spectrum amongst folks.
And sure enough, you gave it an 8. I gave it a 9. Jason Lady gave it a 7. Said points for originality. I like it. Mysterious. Like she's being glimpsed in the dark depths of the ocean. And Botboy Versus gave it a 10. Says it stands out and looks creepy. Yep.
I get it. Yeah. I'm not even going to fight him on that.
Yeah, cannot. Jim Mill, who just joined the chat, welcome Jim, says, as a kid, teenager, I didn't like the photo covers, but now I realize how artistic and unique they are. I give it an 8. And you can't just break it out for every cover, right? Like, this was something that was a big event in New Warriors, where you had a character. I don't know how long Namorita had been around, but she had kind of been a sidekick to Namor for some time, and all of a sudden she just got completely revamped as a character into Chimera, which is an absolutely daring thing to do. Now, I guess the only cynical thing you say is, "Oh yeah, I can be daring with a character that nobody was caring about." Like maybe not, but at this point, New Warriors had been around for almost 4 years at that point, and had a good level of popularity, enough of a popularity that it spawned 2 books off of it, where you had Night Thrasher and Nova. So, I mean, people at this time knew who Namorita was. So it was kind of a daring thing to make the change. Hello to Doc Strange. And while we're saying our hellos, Jared's going to read the cover credits for the issue.
Sure enough, here we go. Here's your credits. This is New Warriors number 44. Its on sale date was December 28th, 1993. So you just got done celebrating Christmas. You got yourself down to the comic book store while you were on vacation. This was on the spinner rack in 1993. It was cover dated February 1994. Its cover price was $1.25. Story is by Fabian Nicieza. Penciler is Derek Robertson. Inks is Larry Malstead. Colors Joe Rosas. Letters Chris Iliopoulos. And the editor is Rob Tokar. Thanks to Mike's Amazing World. I think it's time for a synopsis.
It is. Eric made a good point to add on to the point that I made, and just said, and it spawned a Justice Limited series. New Warriors were a hot commodity at one point. They were. It's so funny. Like, I know that leading up to 50, it's giving a little bit away. Not a lot, just a little, Jared. They were going to be plans to launch a second New Warrior series. They're going to have, like, at the end of New Warriors 50s, there's going to be a lot of New Warriors. And like, they were going to do that, but they said sales waned. And at the time, like, sales waning on a comic book were like like
Marvel would kill for those numbers right now.
New Warriors was only selling 300,000 copies.
Oh God, the sales numbers in the 80s and 90s were never to be matched again.
What a bum book this was. We're definitely not doing 2 books. So, like, sales ways. So, right. Yeah, man. Like, I can't think of a circumstance in which comic books could go back to that, unless you counted, they found a way to just sell them monthly and digitally, like an app subscription or something like that, maybe. But we're talking about the future of comic books, which Jared and I have actually talked about a decent amount. Like, one point, Jared and I were thinking about opening up a comic book store. And some years ago, Jared was like, print media is dead. No one's reading comic books anymore. Comic books
well, it turns out I'm starting to be more and more right, because I'm learning that more and more comic shops are more in business selling Funko Pops and stuff now than actual books.
Oh yeah, like the thing that you are absolutely right about. Like, my Pure Romantic Heart, I wish that there could be such a thing as selling a pure comic book store. I doubt such a thing exists anymore, because heck, even when we were together in San Antonio back in 2005 and 2006, like, there was already the comic book store that we went to, Purple Cactus. Shout out to Kevin, who like, I'm still friends with on Facebook. Crap, who owned the store? It wasn't Kevin.
I only remembered Kevin. You're gonna do way better than me on that one.
I'm gonna blank on it.
Look, they sold comics and homemade salsa.
They sold comics. They sold homemade salsa. They had a big gaming area at one point, and that's what people do, And then, like, as Eric Porter mentions, like, comics are $5.99 now. I can't afford them anymore. Like, not all of them are $5.99. Me and Jared are playing post the comment word. Not all, but, like, I think the cheapest comic book now is $3.99. Like, I will get some Marvel comics and some DC that are $3.99, and it's one of those like, what the heck can you do? Like people still have that 80s and 90s mentality that a comic book should be like $1, $1.50. And it's like, I think it could be. I think comic books could be that price still if you sold them on like paper stock. And I think
that's what Alterna's doing. Alterna's doing $1.50 comics or whatever now because it's on newsprint.
Yeah. And it's tough, right? Because like a part of me is like, I totally sympathize and even agree with someone like Eric, someone who would complain about the price. But then I'll get a comic book nowadays and then I'll accidentally put the tape over the book and I'm like,
son of a
and then I'll pull it off and on like the $3.99 is just comes off easy on the paper.
Yeah, you do that on like a 70s comic. You're like,
you somehow rip through like 15 pages of the book. Like, no. Oh, man. So anyway, give and take. And I'm supposed to be reading the synopsis. The title of this book is Underwater Fire, which is not an alternate name for Midnight Fire, just in case you're wondering. I know, man. Namor goes searching for the escaped Namorita and finds something altogether different. Vance Astrovik finds out something too, but what is it? Jarrod's going to bring up some stuff, y'all, and we're about to talk about the comic finally. It only took us about 20 minutes. But you know why we do. That's what you joined us for. Welcome to the chat, Scott O'Neill. We're glad to have you.
All right. I will pull up our first image, which is not, I don't think this is, is this page 1? I think it's page 1. For the first time in a long time, I don't think they did a double page spread on as you move into page 2. At least it didn't feel like it on, this is page 2. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't think they did a double page spread when they moved on to page 2 for the first time in like, gosh, several issues, maybe since the beginning. They almost always do that. But anyways, all right. So I picked this page because it kicks off the story. We knew something was up with Namorita and she was changing and the Submariner was going to get involved at the end of last issue. It was kind of my favorite part of last issue. And so, here we are. Submariner's got his typical angry face, and I don't think it's on this page. I think it might be on the next page. I can't read that print, so you guys will have to get back to me. But my favorite part about it, not only is it cool just to see him there and concerned about his cousin, but he's like, I'm gonna find her, and if she's in some sort of state of rage, like he was, because he had the oxygen problem that made him more angry than usual.
Yep.
And he's like, maybe I can use my ways to calm her down. And I was like, yeah, Prince Namor, known far and wide for his calming abilities.
Namorita, calm down right now.
You calm down, I put you in the face. I mean, look at his angry face in the first panel. I'm just like, you are not the guy for that, Namor. But you know what? Spoiler alert, we'll get there. He is the guy. He's proven that before in this book when she had troubles with the sea urchin? The
sea urchin, yes.
Okay.
You liked Jeremy Swimming Bear better.
I did. I really did.
Yep.
So that is just sort of the kickoff to this, of which I'll have more comments, but I want Delvin to have some time.
Yeah. I don't really have much to add other than that. Like he did have, I think instead of angry face was more determined face in that, he was desperately trying to figure out what happened with his cousin. Who he very much so dotes on and adores. So just also welcome Scott O'Neill to the chat. I'm going to read very quickly. He was talking about like where we're talking about the comic books and just said we need to remember too that the more of a thing that you make, the cheaper the cost per item. Publishers aren't selling 500,000 copies of an issue anymore like they were in the 90s. We got to one part of that, Scott, and like you just happened to bring it home and make it sound a little bit better. And I'm going to have to ask you to stop commenting and making your host look bad. So he was determined. Namor was to find her, and then they got into a little bit of the lore that goes on with the Atlanteans that sometimes I gloss over a little bit. But like
that's what I was going to talk about. I was like, I felt like this was Marvel's attempt. Like they looked at like Donna Troy and was like, that's a jacked up backstory. I wonder if we can play in that jacked up backstory. Because this whole time I thought, oh, that's his cousin. It's like, well, it's the clone daughter of his cousin.
And just stop right there. As soon as they say clone, it's like,
oh, I'm going cross-eyed.
Here we go.
She was
goodness.
It's like in vitro fertilization clone uterus something. I was like, God dang it, comic books.
and then in order to make up for these deficiencies, she took Atlantean warriors like DNA and spliced it. What?
Stop.
And I tell you what, I think it was like, in order to establish the bona fides of it, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, clearly DCAs had to be like, well, I did the homework.
And you know what? It's like I read 78 issues of freaking Namor to establish this continuity. You're gonna read about it, damn it. And I can't blame him for it. If I put in the work, I want people to see it too.
Jarrod's tangent for this episode is going to be the only time that I can think of that I think cloning actually worked and made a great story with Superboy. When they tried to clone Superman and they used Lex Luthor DNA. I thought that was great. In the chat, talk about your favorite time someone got cloned as we move on to the next panel or page. All right, this is the page where we sort of check back in with the New Warriors. Now, I had 2 pages to choose from, okay? Because on this page and the following page is sort of the check back in. I really just sort of like the ambiance of this one, sort of that cool down moment. They've been through quite a bit recently.
Oh, yeah.
This is almost like the X-Men play baseball. They've gotten pizza. They're having a quasi, I was going to say fun conversation, but no, that's not the word. Engaging conversation about what's next, what's going on with Vance, probing questions and all that. And I just like the atmosphere of this page better, but the reveal on the next page was outstanding. It's not on this page. I don't have it.
Yeah.
But the reveal, yes, that this whole Vance Astrovik throws in with, what's his name?
Shaw. Shaw.
Yep. Yeah, throws in with Shaw by design. It's basically revealed that Night Thrasher's like, yeah, me and Vance cooked this whole thing up. I was like, what?
and guess what, Jarrod? I got duped too. I forgot about
it. I was about to give you kudos for stone facing last episode.
Yeah, I was stone facing because I didn't know. I had completely forgotten it myself. So you got Dwayne that's sitting there on the other page was like, oh yeah, I should probably let you know. Yeah, we set this whole thing up. So like they had this thing clearly cooking since the moment that Vance left out of prison, where like maybe Vance was putting on a little bit of an acting role, like, why? No.
I want to know how deep it goes. Like did Thrash set up all those protests? Was Thrash involved with the woman who accused him of giving her son cancer?
Right, he's sitting there just dishing money. He's like, say your kid got cancer. It's like, my kid doesn't have cancer. Here's $100. Oh, my kid totally has cancer. Kid has cancer. Do you know? I don't know if you guys remember back in '93, like $100 could basically buy you about 2 or 3 buildings. It was an incredible time.
That's true. I wish I'd bought buildings.
By the way, Jason Lady answered your question about clonage and said, I like Superboy favorite clone. I like X-23, Wolverine 2 and / Wolverine 2 and Honey Badger. And man, I read some of the latest X-Men and they did some adventurous stuff with Laura. It was not we're getting into right now. It was adventurous. I will tell you that much for sure. Next page.
Yes, sir. Okay, the big reveal. Namor goes looking for Namorita, and this is the big reveal, which made me laugh out loud a little bit, and I will tell you why. I mean, first of all, it's a cool character redesign. They did a good job with it. I love the sort of the oceanic themes of the big seashell for one breast and the net and the diving knife and all that. That's cool. All that is cool. What made me laugh is that prior to this and after this, and we're going to see the fallout, the quote unquote fallout, which is a strong word. She's just like, oh, Who am I? What? How is everybody? I went from being a smoking hot girl to a smoking hot blue girl. No one cares. You're still smoking hot. You're the same person. I don't get it. Maybe I've read too many comics. I'm like, why does anybody care? She's the same person and she's still beautiful and now she's blue. Okay, I don't care.
I tell you what, like, I guess there will only be a certain number of ways that, like, this could be really traumatic. Like, if she went from being like who she was to like somebody that just looked, I don't know, ugly. And she's like, no, I used to be beautiful and now I'm ugly. And now it's
right.
Like,
yeah,
right. I do get, I get what you're saying, but then I get what she's saying. Like, I don't know, like maybe like, no, I gave it just a half second of thought. Like, I have no idea the set of circumstances that would happen, but like, if somehow I knocked on your doorstep, on your door, and I was blue, you'd probably look for a second, and then you make some dumbass joke, and then it'd be like, okay, you want to go play Mega Man? It's like, yeah.
I was straight up full of Janine from Ghostbusters. I'd go, typical.
But at the same time, and I hope that you get to the page, because it actually like kind of choked me up a little bit, because she's like, well, what if they don't accept me? And because
like why wouldn't they?
Yeah, like Namor's like sis, you're hot. You're good. Like, but no.
This is a universe where She-Hulk exists. She's green. She's gorgeous. You're gonna be okay.
A completely fair point. Even though I do get it. Like, sometimes you do wonder, like, if you make some significant change in your life, or you have some big reveal in your life, and you tell your folks who at that moment and may not have known that stuff about you, then you kind of worry, does it change the dynamic of the relationship? And these are relationships that you care about. So I do get that. But at the same time, I do get what you're saying too. Like, that would have been one heck of a thing of like, she would have came to Nova and Nova would be like, ew.
Like if she had like a hammerhead shark face, or something. That'd be a little weird, sure. But yeah, it's weird because when she was going through, it was hints at what she was going through, and the entire time I thought we were going to see some sort of maybe I got the hint that she was going to turn blue, but I thought we might see her have a major personality shift, like where she became more like Namor, like really aggressive and angry.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like she's pretty much the same. She had a little bit of that before. We all know that, but yeah, it was a great reason to give her a makeover. It's a cool makeover.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get some drama out of it. I get it, but
yeah,
she looks great. It's a great redesign. Although, I don't know. That's the $1 million question. Do you like the original more Submariner look, or do you like this sort of wildly different blue version? That's up for folks to decide.
Yeah, that definitely is up for folks to decide. And my thought, and it's not like, I got Fabian on the line like, hey, bro, what's going on? But like, this certainly makes her more distinct from Namor. And they kind of talked about it a little bit, where, Namor was sort of trying to do I thought in that moment, I don't know if you have that page up, or where he's talking to Namor or not. Do you have that as one of your images?
That's the next one.
Okay. So yeah, like, I was very impressed. That was how he talked to her. Not only was very good mentor, very good big cousin, a little cousin, but it was very regal. I could not have been more impressed, because she was worried about her Atlantean side basically rejecting her. And he's like, you have your friends, you have your new warriors, and the only reason I would ever be disappointed in you is if you just retreated and just became like this completely withdrawn person that went away from all of the things that she was passionate about simply because you look different. And he even said, he's like, yeah, I get it. I look like I do. Sue Richards absolutely sweats McGill's all the time and stuff. But hear me out. Like, I didn't say this was going to be easy. I didn't placate you and act, and give you just this, glad handling. I'm telling you, yeah, it's a trial, but the way that you get through trials is with the help of your friends and family, and that's who the New Warriors are to her.
100% agree. He came through with what he mentioned, and I laughed at the beginning. Remember, I said, I'll have that calming effect on her. I'm like, you don't affect anybody. He absolutely did. And he's 2 for 2 on that now. When she was basically decimated at the hand of the swimming bear, he was there, and he's here again. And I bring this panel up for a couple of reasons, not just for that, but just for the craft of comic book making. Once again, this is a beautiful page. If you look at just the art's great. Namor looks incredible.
Yeah.
The underwater effects of the inks and the blues behind them are incredible. The letterer, I love what he did with the word balloon since they're underwater. They don't have that pointy. They have a more bubbly effect, which is awesome. All the way to the final panel, which is a close-up face of Namor, which is awesomely inked in a great use of the Zipatone pattern to give it a mid-grade shade. This is just a great 1, 2, 3. Everything looks fantastic. So I just want to nod to the comic craft, and now we can get back to the story. I think you had a comment you wanted to cover.
I did. Scott O'Neill mentions a while back in the Facebook group, Fabian posted some of his notebooks from around this time. My sense was that he was trying to make her more distinct than just Lady Namor. And Matt Passo, welcome, by the way, Matt, says, I would say, though, the change does make her stand out against the hundreds of other blonde Caucasian characters. Let's see. Was there anything else? No, we're good. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Jared?
I feel like there was.
I'll add one more thing. Sorry. Jason Lady a while back said this had like zero impact on her character. It's like she just put on new clothes for all the difference it makes to her as a character. So I can definitely see both sides on this, where it's like, okay, this is just a surface level change. Even though, I think probably the most dramatic thing, her hands like more resemble like webbed gills. Yeah, like that would be it.
Yeah, and there's a pattern here. Fabian is clearly taking every couple issues now, a character's getting a redesign. And I feel like that's kind of on his list of things to do. I want to redesign everybody. And because we've had a redesign for Vance, and we've had like 3 redesigns for Rage, and redesigns are a thing. And again, as far as they go, not bad. I dig it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet whether I think it's an improvement or not. What's going to be the deciding factor is if she actually stabs somebody with the swimming dagger. If she stabs somebody with the swimming dagger, I'll be like, all right, we got some mileage on it. Or use the net on somebody.
Yeah.
This is a great speech by Namor, but if I was Namor and I finished that speech, I'd be like, and oh, by the way, I've been a half-breed here in Atlantis my entire life, and nobody F's with me.
Yeah.
Try that out.
Yeah. It's like, I smell like fish, like 99% of the time. Do you know how many Earth chicks
They love me.
It has been a lot. Yeah, the off-panel stuff, embarrassing. I'm telling you. Move on before I sink further into the depths.
Okay, so then she comes and meets the team, and she's especially worried about Nova, because they had sort of a blossoming relationship, and then now there's a big change, and she's like, do you accept me? And he's like, of course I do. You're smoking hot and you're blue. That's... The only thing that made me feel weird about this page is like I remembered that girlfriend that he's been dating, the one that still hasn't figured out that he's Nova. We were laughing about that.
Yeah, Laura Dunham.
Yeah, I feel bad for Laura at this point, but comics.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure sooner rather than later she's gonna find out. She's gonna kind of have to, right? But at the same time, it's like, I mean, there's not every day you get to kiss a blue chick. So
no,
so I can't blame Nova for pulling this Captain Kirk here. I mean, after all, he is
exactly
a space warrior. Of course, I accept you. Chimera. Yeah. So.
Oh, I forgot to complain about Chimera. Like they evoke the old legend of the Chimera, and then just randomly they're like, and so from here on, I'll be called Chimera, but it's like spelled differently. Like the clever kind of like, so you just change the spelling. Wait a minute, these are word balloons. You can't. They're speaking. Comics.
It's Chimera, but with a KY.
With the KY.
I tell you, I mispronounced that name. I would always give it an extra syllable. I would say Chimera back in the day, but I didn't understand. I didn't know. Like, so I'm at least glad that from some point between 1993 and now that like the word chimera has entered my vocabulary. So I saw it now. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. And then so I was gonna look it up and explain it to you if you're like, I don't know what this is, but then they explained it in a book well enough, I think. So
yeah, it's Greek. I think it's Greek. Might be Roman, but I think it's a Greek legend. Anyway, honestly, I learned about it from Mission Impossible 2. it was the Chimera virus, and they went into the history of it on that movie, and that's how I learned about it back in 2000.
So let me help you out a little bit. Since now Google does an AI overview, says the word chimera has multiple meanings. In Greek mythology, it's a fire-breathing monster with the head of a lion, the body of a goat, and the tail of a snake. And let's see what else. Just general usage, a fantastic idea or figment of the imagination. For example, his utopia was a chimera. And then genetically speaking, an individual, organ, or part consisting of tissues of diverse genetic constitution. This seems a lot more closer to Nita. For example, a hybrid created through fusion of a sperm and an egg from different species. So there you go. That seems to be the closest definition to what Nita now is. I'm pretty sure they still are going to call her Nita, but we'll find out.
We'll find out. Yeah. I like in panel 3 there. I was like, is she wearing fish nets? And I remembered it's a fish net. It's a literal fish net. All right. I think I have just one page left.
Yeah, I was about to say we're about out of pages.
And it's the final page, which is kind of the big reveal that there's going to be a crossover with X-Force, which, if I remember correctly, Fabian's writing at this time.
Yes.
So he's going to play in the double sandboxes. And and that kind of wraps up the issue. And I'll let you go on this, and then we can sort of talk about how we felt overall.
Yeah, the thing that made me smile about it is, and this is not the first time that I've seen this trope. It's like, I'm on a public landline, and, like it's completely secure. No, it's not. Like I am basically like a complete noob when it comes to like how security and stuff like that works. But I can tell you, if you think that you're talking on well, there's not many public payphones anymore, even though there are some. But like, yeah, that ain't secure. That ain't secure at all.
I give him some credit because this is 1993.
Yeah.
And so what they were saying is like his regular use lines were probably tapped by going to some random phone.
Mm-hmm.
Safer, I got it. But still, right.
I got it. I absolutely got it. And trust me, like I was just, pushing in the glasses just a little bit. Yeah, but
I can't believe they put
I've never been so insulted ever. Like, but the cool thing about it though is like, and so now like you've even got, have you noticed Vance cut his hair? He's got more just like a traditional. He's a
bad boy.
Yeah, he's a bad boy now with a bad boy buzz cut. He doesn't have the long flowing locks anymore, and it was a good, clever reveal for this Child's Play storyline that's coming up. And I don't remember how that went at all, so I'm looking forward to it. And yes, Derek once again shows off. And let's see, who said? Matt Passo says, "I love that image at the bottom." Oh yeah, it's fantastic. You've got X-Force on the left side, you got New Warriors on the right side, then Derek is like, hey Fabian, if I'm tired of New Warriors, you can put me on X-Force. Even though like I think the long-running artist was Greg Capullo for X-Force, and he did some fantastic stuff at the time. But yeah, I think Fabian is doing this whole arc. I can't remember whether it's 2 parts or 4, but we're gonna find out.
Very cool.
So yeah, overall, just very quickly, overall, what did you think of the book? What did you think of the reveal of Chimera?
I thought that was okay. The more exciting reveal to me was that they had planted Vance into this organization with Shinobi Shaw. I think that from a storytelling point of view is more interesting. But I'm not mad at all about the revamp of Namorita.
I think it was good. Again, there were 3 moments that touched me. One was Namor giving the speech that he did. I just thought it was very regal and very becoming of a king to talk, especially somebody that you can tell that he absolutely adores and cares for, because he wouldn't have gone through all the trouble of literally searching the 7 seas to find her, and he did. I thought that Nita's vulnerability was very, very good too. Like, she was just worried, like, look, I have completely changed into this different creature. Like, I know this makes me an outcast in the Atlantean world because people know I'm a clone now, and that's forbidden science. But like, I think that was enough for her to completely retreat entirely until Namor brought her back and said, you've got to give your friends a chance to accept you and love you. And they did. When she went to the one person that she cared about the most on the team, he immediately accepted her. And so, like, those 3 moments, like, hit me in the feels a little bit. I was good. I was really good at those emotional beats, and I was good that they put that one bit in the story where they mentioned about the Child's Play storyline coming up. That was very well woven in, and it did not take a lot of time, and it did not take away from Nita's big reveal.
I concur, but we must discuss who is our ultimate warrior and who is the ultimate worrier on this one. Feel free to chime in, folks, in the chat. You guys are always awesome. While Delvin gives us a rundown of who he thinks is the warrior and the worrier. Go ahead, Delvin.
Sure. I'm going to go with Namor as the warrior because, like, I think that he did exactly what someone in a leadership position should do. He had a follower who was feeling a little bit lost and maybe was going to just spiral off the deep end, and using just a heart, so to speak, but using some compassion and just some words, as opposed to, I'm going to beat it out of you. No, he talked to his cousin, and brought her back in. And I thought that was cool. And so if I'm worried about somebody, it's going to be Vance. Worried about Vance because Vance is doing some deep cover stuff right now, and that's not something that he's ever done before. So I'm a little bit worried, that maybe he's going to get caught, and maybe some bad things are going to happen to Justice, and we don't know what's going on. What do you think? And by the way, everybody in the audience, if you want to chime in about warrior and worrier, now's the time to do so. Go for it, Jarrod.
Well, they're going to have to be quick too, because same. Like, I thought Namor was awesome in this. I have a favorable opinion of Namor. I think he's awesome, especially in this era, and he showed that in this issue. It's 2 for 2 for Fabian, not taking the easy route with angry Namor and letting him be the king Namor, which I think is great. And then worrier, clearly it's got to be Vance, although I didn't catch, or I don't remember, was Firestar privy to this secret information, or was this a surprise to her too? Because then I guess I'd be a little worried about that. She's probably going to take that harder than most. Like, wait, this was all a setup and I wasn't part of it, but I guess in order to sell it properly, it was best to keep her out of it. But it's still tough.
Yeah. That was when, like, because Nova noticed that Thrash was kind of being kind of quiet about it. It's like, surely you have an opinion on this. He was like, yeah, maybe I should let you know that I got a little bit, some going And who knows? Like I saw a comment and forgive me, I can't remember who said it. They're like, man, like Thrasher didn't tell these like folks what was going on immediately, and it's like probably had to let it marinate a little bit and let the impact of it settle more on Vance's side rather than anything else, because who knows? Like these are different individuals leading separate lives. That may have been the first time that they were able to get together and have this conversation about what are we going to do about this Vance situation. And then, of course, Night Thrasher pulls out the folder. So Scott O'Neill says, Nita is my warrior. Love Namor's role in this issue, but choosing to take good advice is often much harder than giving good advice. Scott just with the fortune cookie.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No, that's good stuff, Scott.
It is. Jason Lady says warrior, Namor for talking Chimera down. Warrior, Dwayne, because it was not nice of him to hold on to the truth about Vance for all that time from Firestar. He's supposed to be nicer now.
Okay. I think nicer in this case is that he just actually told them. I think old or would have just been like, wait another week or two, or wait till a very critical moment.
Yeah, then they confront Vance and he's like, you're a bastard, Vance, you're a bastard. So but I do get the point, Jason, that you think that Thrash should have revealed that information a little bit sooner. Let's see. Oh, Scott O'Neill also said warrior, which was Speedball, said at the rate he's picking up, delivering, and or eating pizzas, he's going to end up the clone of Bouncing Boy by the end of the series. And then Jason Lady just said, no, he's a teenager. He can eat 100 pizzas and lose weight. Metabolism. You remember that, Jared?
Vaguely.
All right, we're going to rate the book 1 to 10. You want to go first, Jared? What did you think about New Warriors 44?
Better than I thought it would be. This book has been, although overall enjoyable, single issues have been a little hit and miss with me lately. The last one was pretty heavy-handed. We talked about that, or just heavy, depending on your point of view. It was just a heavy book. And this was a refreshing change from that. It was refreshing to see a lot of positivity with Namor and his cousin and Thrasher bringing them in on this cool secret. So this one was a lot of fun, and I really liked it. It's I'm glad it has the photo cover because it'll always stand out as because of the cover. It's so unique, and I'll always look at it and go, oh yeah, that's the one that's it feels good. It's a feel good issue.
Did you rate it?
I give it 3. No, this was a strong one. I'm willing to go all the way to a 9 on this one. I really like the reveal that the Vance is a plant by intent, and I think that's really cool. And I like Namor's handling the situation, and her new design is cool and unique. So sure.
And I'm going to flip like we did on the cover. I'll give it an 8. I think it's a good book. Good book. Very good reveal. They intentionally waited several times where they just show Nita in the shadows and wouldn't show her full look of what she looked like. And the cover gave you like a facial preview. And then finally, Derek, they gave it a full splash page, and they should. They absolutely just gave it the gravitas that the moment deserved with the full reveal. And yeah,
I'm going to cut you off just a second because I want to mention, I think it was Jason who mentioned earlier that they used that image for a Marvel trading card of her. That's how good that image is. Very strong.
Right.
I'm sorry. Back to you.
Oh, no. And very good addition. And yeah, it just shows that one, Derek was in his bag, but one of the things I really liked about it, the New Warriors, I guess, I don't know, maybe being a teenager at the time, and as teens, we often do a decent amount of changing from being a kid into the adults that we're going to become. You're starting to see some of those elements come in. And so it's kind of cool seeing that these mostly teenagers are starting to do some changes themselves. Like this wasn't just an all of a sudden reveal. Even of the last 2 or 3 issues, Namorita mentioned, or excuse me, Chimera mentioned that like she had been going through the like emotional rigors ever since she started. She had to take over leadership of the Warriors. So that was way back in issue 26. So this has been going on for a while. That like, and of course, she did that. There was a whole war-torn thing in, I'm going to blank on the freaking country right now, that they went over in the Middle East and did all that. Transabal. Thank you. So, and then then she came back and sort of tried to relieve some stress and wound up getting teammates' parents or, loved ones killed or maimed or injured. And that finally just sent her spiraling off the deep end. So this has been, Carry the One, a 18-month story that Fabian has developed. So it ended up in a very good reveal. And I was happy for that. And hopefully we can see a more well-adjusted Chimera moving forward, and she can continue to just be the asset for the Warriors that she was. While we are talking about Golden Corral in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, that is the show. Please come back and join us for the next episode where we discuss New Warriors 45, where the New Warriors crossover with Chucky and Child's Play. Oh, my bad.
Nice.
X-Force. They have roughly the same body count.
Both popular in the 90s.
If you'd like to hear more from us, the Long Box Crusade, y'all, you can find us everywhere. Any podcast place that you look for Long Box Crusade, you can find us. Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, you look for Long Box Crusade, we're there. Patreon, we have a Patreon Crusaders Club. You can come join us at only $1 a month. And YouTube, which you would be watching it right now, you can like and subscribe us there. We would greatly appreciate it. You could email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com. And I know Jarrod already has a number scrolling across, 707-532-5269, 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
And let's give it to Jarrod. Like I mentioned, of course, you won't know about this, but recorded Transformers Chronicles 53 last night and mentioned when I talked about some of the live content that we have on YouTube, your Best Under 5 show that you do with Black Belt Chris. So you might want to mention that real quick before we head off, and then tell them where you could be found on the internet.
Absolutely. We just did on Sunday the 3rd episode of Best Under 5. We're trying to make it the first Sunday of every month at our usual Sunday time, which is 3:30 at the Long Box. Well, we talked about The Fear from 1995 as suggested by Matt Passo. And that's kind of half the fun of the show, by the way, of Best Under 5. Which premise is we talk about a film that has a 4.9 or less on IMDb and see if it deserves a little more. And half the fun is our listeners, our viewers, our friends, our Crusaders Club members. You can pitch in ideas. That was Matt's idea. We watched it. We had a good time with it. So check out Best Under 5, first Sunday of the month. We will be back. We are on schedule to do one on the first Sunday of next month. Anyways, and if you want to chat with me online, I am at Yard Sale Artist on X, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm also looking forward to Ponderosa / Golden Corral Cast as hosted by Jason Lady and Matt and Scott, the guys in the chat.
Maybe I could finally figure out what that chocolate fountain means. By the way, not Jason, a quick hello to Tony Pennington, who came in. He says, work sucks. Much rather go out and play. It's come out to play. Tony, get it right. Get out. The bottles. Clink. It's the whole show. Come on. Anyway, you can find me, Twitter X, DEE_RAY1977. Instagram at Delvin Ray. See you all next time. And remember, be a hero to somebody, even if it's just to yourself. And until next month, New Warriors, come out to play. Yay. Have a good night, everybody.
See you guys. Thanks for being here.